जय हिंद, जय भारत एंड वेलकम टू डेफ टॉक्स। दिस इज आदि अचिंत। आइए समझें जियोपॉलिटिक्स को एक भारतीय नजरिए से।
So India has a mindset where it hits, it punches below its weight. We have to punch not above our weight. We have to punch not below our weight. We have to increase our weight and punch the post.
ये हमारा सिद्धांत है। हम घर में घुस के मारेंगे।
You know, victims of terrorism do not sit together with perpetrators of terrorism to discuss terrorism.
नमस्कार, जय हिंद। वी हैव विद अस कर्नल अजय सिंह, जो हमको आज बताएंगे भाई ये क्या हो रहा है गाजा के अंदर। एक तरफ बोलते हैं कि साहब वेपन्स नहीं मिलेगा तुमको, अब लड़ो मत, बस खत्म करो। दूसरी तरफ बोलते हैं नहीं नहीं यार, 1 बिलियन के वेपन्स ले लो। सोचते हैं कि पूरा अरब वर्ल्ड खड़ा हो जाएगा इजराइल के अगेंस्ट में। अरब वर्ल्ड बोलता है नहीं नहीं यार, कोई टेंशन ही नहीं है, हमास शुड नॉट बी देयर। मतलब देयर आर ट्विस्ट्स एंड टर्न्स हैपनिंग इन दिस वॉर। जहां पर बोला था राफा में अगर आप ऑफेंसिव करोगे तो हम पूरी दुनिया आपको तोड़ देगी, कुछ नहीं हुआ। यहां तक कि यूएन वाले बोल रहे हैं कि साहब जो हमने फिगर रिपोर्ट करे थे वो थोड़े ठीक नहीं है, थोड़े ज्यादा बोल दिए हमने। What is happening in this war, sir? नमस्कार, please tell us, ये क्या हो रहा है सर? This is I think one of the most confused wars in history.
Yes, confused and straightforward at the same time. Because what is happening is a repetition of what's been happening since 1948, when Israel was created. Right? It is a repeat, like they say, na, in the Middle East, whatever changes is more of the same. So what you are seeing in the Gaza war is a repeat of the same actions of the Middle East over the years. Now, जो आपने कहा था the Rafah offensive का,
उससे स्टार्ट करते हैं।
या उससे शुरू कर लेते हैं, क्योंकि पूरी कहानी तो ये पीस टॉक्स और Rafah offensive, they're both linked. Everyone thought Israel would not go in for the Rafah offensive. And honestly, as a military man, even I felt Rafah offensive would not be, let me put it, cost effective. It would not allow you to get your military aims. Now, Israel has still gone into Rafah to hunt out 3 to 4 Hamas battalions. They say 4 Hamas battalions, 2 Hamas leaders who are hiding out there. And for that, they have sent 2 divisions, 2 infantry divisions, Gaza division and I think the 109 division, and 3 armored brigades. Very nice. This force will encircle the area. They will search and cordon. They will go into the buildings, into the tunnels, hunt out the Hamas fighters and the leadership. But now my question to them is, in that 1.4 million Gazans who are sheltering in Rafah, who is the Hamas terrorist? Who is the leadership? The biggest military problem for Israel is identifying that. So as a military man, I feel this offensive will be a repeat of the offensive in Gaza City and Khan Yunis. वहां भी उन्होंने वही कहा था, did the same playbook. They went there, evacuated the area, cordoned the place, searched it. They came back saying we've killed 4,000 cadres, 6,000 cadres, 8,000 cadres. We don't know who is the cadre. किसी के पास identity card नहीं है. Nobody got Hamas for it, nothing. The leadership moved from Gaza City to Khan Yunis, Khan Yunis to Rafah. Now they have gone to Rafah and back again in the north to Gaza City. Because the leadership, correct. Yes, the leadership have gone back out there. It's a 2-pronged offensive. So, I am not political issue. तो हम बाद में डिटेल में गहराई में डिटेल डिस्कस कर लेंगे. As a military man, I see no purpose in this offensive.
I guess the purpose is to finish the job you started. जो शुरू करा एटलीस्ट खत्म करो यार अभी, you know, don't back off at the last minute.
सही. बिल्कुल सही. तो what was the job they started? What was the aim of the Israeli operation? सबसे पहले हमास को खत्म कर लो. Totally agreed. It should be. It's a terrorist organization and it should be eliminated. I am totally with them in that. Get the hostages back. Of course, totally right. Third is have a new regime in Gaza. Of course, difficult, but that's what they want. And fourth is have a new security regime which ensures Israel's long-term security. 4 aims of Israeli operations, right? Now, they want to eliminate Hamas. Tell me, have they already not disrupted Hamas completely?
Correct.
24
They
battalions
themselves, they're saying about 16,000 of the Hamas have been killed.
having, yeah, 24 battalions Hamas के पास थे. They say 12 to 14 have been completely destroyed. 6 to 8 have been degraded and dispersed. Now 4 are remaining in Rafah city. But who are these 4 battalions? What are their cadres? Even if you go to destroy them physically by checking the identity card and say, "Bhai, ye Hamas banda hai," which is impossible, are you not creating a generation of angry, embittered youth who will carry the Hamas ideology?
वो तो है सर, वो तो है, वो तो है. उसमें तो
Israel,
कोई there is no doubt.
Israel should have fought. You know, एक कहावत है, fight to your strength. Israel's strength lies in the intelligence, their precision strikes, and the manner they use special forces and raids so effectively. Entebbe देख लो, the raid on the reactor देख लो, the way they killed the perpetrator of the Munich massacre, वो देख लो, 2 साल लगे. Now, with even surrounding Rafah, would they have not sent their special forces in, get intelligence, have pinpoint strikes, and eliminate just 2 people, Yahya Sinwar and Mohammed Daif?
Nice.
They are the symbols. They are the symbols of either victory or defeat, depending on which side you are. Eliminate them, get that symbol, and then go ahead. ये जैसे कहते हैं, they are using a bulldozer and a sledgehammer when they should have been using rapier thrusts. As a military man, that is the way I operate.
Point taken, sir. But sir, there are 2-3 things. आपने एक चीज बोला कि ये लोग they regrouped in the north, and that was very interesting because they regrouped in the north and they had a bomb on their head. So somewhere down the line, I also feel these Israelis are bringing out a trap somewhere. ये इनको north में, Jabalia में, इनको open करते हैं जान के, so that they come there and they bloody hit them after that. So have they got their intelligence set up ready in the rest of Gaza? That is one question.
Okay, I will counter you with, if they had the intelligence setup which is so accurate to identify them coming out, maybe they could have done it with greater precision. It is because they don't have the intelligence setup which is so accurate, they're doing carpet bombing of the areas to eliminate them, which is actually, in the long run, creating more resentment. Remember, the big picture is not Hamas. Hamas it will be eliminated. I mean, that is a given. They will destroy Hamas as an organization, not as an ideology.
वो तो बहुत मुश्किल है सर. Ideology तोड़ना is very difficult. Yeah.
Yes. So Israel's victory should have been in the victory of the ideology, which unfortunately they'll have lost the narrative in that.
But sir, there is also, I mean, we spoke about the hostages. We've also realized today 40 of the hostages are no more. Hamas himself has said that 40 hostages are dead, and Israel has now recovered by the evening today. The latest news is 4 dead bodies they've already recovered. So,
right,
chances of finding anybody are going to be very slim. And if I was anybody to say anything, कि यार मैं अगर दाइफ या वो हूँगा, क्या नाम है, याया सिनवर हूँगा या जो भी हूँगा, I would keep the hostages with me.
हाँ.
Human shield type बना के रखो उनको. Okay, I think sir has just got hung up. Not to okay. Did you get me, sir?
Sorry, I'm hearing you now. But tell me.
I'm saying I would keep the hostages with me. I would not let the hostages go. मैं तो अपने पास रखूंगा उनको ताकि when the Israelis attack, I have them to shield me.
Yes. Okay, Adi, I lost you, but I think I get what you're saying. Now, can you hear me? Just raise your hand if you can.
Yeah, I can. Right? Loud and clear.
The whole,
I can't see you that properly though, but
you can hear me? Yeah. No, okay. So I lost you in between, but you were talking the hostages. The hostages are both the trump card and the pawns in the big game. They are the trump card for Hamas. And they are the pawns for Israel. For Netanyahu, the hostages are now become just, we all know, there are how many 130 hostages left. Out of these 130 hostages, they have, like you said, 40 to 50 have been killed, maybe more. One indicator is Hamas is agreeing the number of hostages they want to release has dropped from 40 to 30 to 18. Perhaps because they don't have so many hostages to release. So, are the hostages still there? Or is Hamas just keeping them as a kind of a trump card so they can have talks?
I mean, this is this is the game which is actually happening. One of the things that we also see happening here is the Arab League. Now, this was very interesting. Yes. I thought the Arab League would be coming out pretty hardcore on Israel and stuff like that. They've actually come very soft. They said, no, Hamas cannot be in the picture anywhere.
Right.
So that is a very clear statement that has been given out. And now, Hamas basically lost all
standing.
Everything.
Yes. Totally. Adi, great observation. Absolutely. Now, look at it as Hamas and the Palestinian cause, right? The Palestinian cause is Hamas and Fatah, the Palestinian Authority, basically. Everyone knows Hamas has lost world standing because of the 7th October attacks. Nobody wants to be associated with them any longer. But in one way that happened is the Palestinian issue is actually getting traction.
Mm-hmm.
Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, everyone saying, yeah, Hamas is, the Palestinian people are suffering. They're not too bothered Hamas, but they're all talking about a two-state solution and Palestine. Saudi Arabia made such a telling statement. They said that we are willing to negotiate, to enter the peace process with a two-state solution, and we support it. USA is now saying the time has come for a two-state solution. Russia is saying it. China is saying it. Egypt is saying it. So the Arab nations, Hamas, the PLO, were terrorist organizations. Not only against Israel, but against every nation in which they put their finger into. They have disrupted that nation. So nobody will be shedding tears for Hamas. But the one thing which Hamas has done by the actions, even though they destroyed Gaza, is they brought the Palestinian cause back onto the table, which I think is a major achievement of Hamas.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. I mean, a very terrible way of bringing something on the table, I must say. ऐसे मत करो यार. Normal इंसानों की तरह बात कर लो. I think that is better. But fair enough. There is the Arabs today. Last time, actually not last week, the week before that, we actually spoke about the Saudi and Israel potential deal that the Americans are kind of trying to forge up. They are trying to fix up this thing, and Saudis are going to get what they want and this and that. Now we see, the Arab League right after that, it basically tells you it's not just a Saudi American deal, it's an Arab American deal.
Yes.
तो ये तो this is a big development which actually people have not really figured out, because if it's an Arab American deal, that means America is back in the game.
Yes, of
So
course.
what
You
happens here now?
see, yes. You know, the Saudi-Israel deal is actually the Saudi-Israel-US deal.
Yeah.
Is actually an extension of the Abraham's Accord.
Hmm.
The Abraham's Accord was an Arab-Israel deal. It was UAE, Sudan, Morocco, and I think Tunisia, 4 Arab nations, which agreed to recognize Israel and restore relations with them. It was done with the blessings of Saudi Arabia, the largest Arab nation. The next step to that was Saudi recognizing Israel's right to exist and re-establishing diplomatic ties. So it is the Arab League. Remember, it is Saudi Arabia who is the undisputed ruler of the Arab world by its sheer financial clout. No nation will go against it. So even if the Arab League says that the deal is between the Arab world and Israel and US and Israel, they are right. Because that security umbrella which USA is promising Saudi Arabia, the technological aid which Israel promises Saudi Arabia, is going to be available to all of the Arab world. And what are you going to get then? A bloc in the Middle East with Saudi Arabia, UAE, the other smaller Arab nations, including Jordan and Egypt, Israel, and USA being the net security provider. In deal, who has been left out?
China.
Iran. Iran is out of the game.
Iran, China.
China, Russia, that bloc is now sidelined. So it is a game within a game which is playing. And what is happening right now, the US role is to ensure that this big game of the Israel, I won't call it Saudi any longer, it's the Israel, Arab world, US handshake or embrace, let's call it that, in which USA becomes the net security provider for the entire Middle East, will continue. That is why the USA is so interested in ensuring that Israel is not totally isolated and boycotted.
That's the most interesting thing, because what's happening is, last week we saw Joe Biden under a lot of pressure from the left. कि get out and the college protests and this and that, ये वो सब कुछ था वहाँ पर, and it just didn't kind of spin out. He couldn't do much. As a matter of fact, he tried to tone it down completely. Now the college protests have actually got exposed.
Yeah.
And we can talk about that. I've got some very, very good insights about that. But that has got exposed. And now you see Joe Biden saying, "Yeah, weapons le lo, $1 billion, go ahead, take it."
Yes.
And all the weapons he has blocked are now open. So what happened here?
Yes. I will actually not lay much stress on these college protests. Most of them are emotional rantings, which make good sound bites, but I do not think they affect political decisions. They will have a minimal say in that. As far as the aid goes, remember, I told the whole thing is a US game. They have to make the rounds the right sound bites. The right sound bite is they call off Israel on humanitarian grounds, by which they say we will not give you 3,500, 2,000 pounder bombs, each bomb capable of blowing up an entire block in Gaza. We will withhold that, but we'll give you $1 billion of other aid like anti-aircraft missiles and things like this. Howitzer shells, which do the same thing but at a later cost. So it is all sound bites. We should all take it with a pinch of salt. Eventually, USA will stand by Israel to thick and thin. Their aim of curtailing Israel lies in curtailing the more erratic policies of Netanyahu, who's now actually gone so overboard that it is difficult to keep, that his actions are actually endangering Israeli security and ipso facto US presence and interest in the region.
It's the narrative as we see in this entire game is kind of shifted completely. The narrative online is quite pro Gaza, pro Palestine, but the real narrative is not pro
Yes.
Palestine. It's not at all. I don't see that as pro Palestine at all. I think, I mean, like if you see the UN vote, everybody voted, yeah, everything, yeah, and all that. But what is it? It's an observer.
Observer, correct?
It's not a country, it's
Yes.
nothing, it's just an observer. Okay, it can send one guy to sit there and watch what is happening.
Yes.
Beyond which, what?
But beyond this now, there are two things in this. One is when the United Nations General Assembly agreed to give observer status to Palestine, it also implies that Palestine is an independent nation. It is not part of the West Bank or not an adjunct to Israel as such. The other thing is, if you take it was passed by a majority of 138 to 14. USA abstained from that resolution. It did not vote against it. Neither did the US try to block it. So it means that the outpouring of support for the Palestinian state, that cause, is now coming out in the open. What is the next stage to this now? This
Find
same
a
thing will
geography.
go through the United Nations Security Council. That is where it has to pass through the United Nations Security Council. That is when the USA will go to veto it. So it will be still the status quo, but it does not hide the underlying undercurrent of the Palestinian movement, which is now gaining traction.
Can I kind of push you back on this, sir? Just for the heck of an argument. I absolutely agree with this, but there's a weird thought that comes to my mind.
Tell me.
Sir, what is, see, US will veto it off, finished, yevo. Isn't this whole Palestinian narrative kept alive so that they could put more pressure on the US?
Okay.
China, Russia, they'd love it. Yeah, it's a very open wound.
Yeah.
Do you think they really care? If they cared so much about Palestine, why didn't they do anything before?
The Palestine movement, if you take a look at it, the entire root of the Middle East problem is the Palestine issue.
Yeah, it is.
Palestine was before. Israel took over the lands of Palestine. They formed Israel. There was to be the state of Palestine it was a khichdi, even bigger a khichdi that was made in India and Pakistan. Eventually, in the war which Israel fought in 47-48, they kept the Arabs in the West Bank and Gaza, took over the rest of the area, established the state of Israel. The Palestinian cause, I would say, was not forgotten, but the Palestinian state was put into oblivion till 1978, when Israel signed a peace accord with Egypt, in which the two-state solution, the establishment, was seriously one of the underlying factors of the Camp David Accord. In the Oslo Accords, which the Palestinian Authority signed with Israel in 1991 and 2003, the underlying cause was autonomy for Palestinians with the aim of eventually creating an independent state. So the Palestinian cause has been there since 48. Israel has merely succeeded in pushing it under the carpet for the past 70 years. What did they do? After the Oslo Accords, they gave greater autonomy to the Palestinian Authority to run the West Bank. In other words, Mahmoud Abbas is not a president of the Palestinian autonomy. He is the mayor of the West Bank. So, the Palestinian cause is still there. Israel has pushed it on the carpet. Now, the moot question is, for how much longer can they continue doing so? Because their actions in this, their totally ham-handed approach, their heavy-handed approach has somehow got a lot of people, including me, thinking that perhaps if a Palestinian state comes about, let them handle their own mess rather than have somebody do it for them.
That I agree with. That I agree with. Create a place, give it to them, and say next time you muck around, you will deal. People will deal with you like a country. Don't cry after that. So better behave yourself.
Yeah.
But there is one thing which is there, which was very curious, mentioned by Netanyahu in the parliament, and he also said this in Dr. Phil's interview. Actually, that interview is pretty telling, I must say. That was a very good interview, a must watch for if people who are interested in this war. Watch that Dr. Phil's interview, because Dr. Phil has this way of very politely asking questions, but he pulls out a lot of information. He said we would like the Arab states to come and take a part in whatever happens in Gaza. We are ready to put the money, we are ready to reconstruct it, we are ready to do a lot of things for that place, but we want the Arab states to be in it. Now, will this place be the place where the Jews and the Arabs actually meet on a certain ground?
Very good question. Very, very good question. It is a question they've been asked for 70 years now. Will this area be a meeting ground between Arabs and Jews, as it's supposed to be, or will it be a permanent divide, which is what it has been for 70 years? Even the state of Pakistan is like the state of, I beg your pardon, the state of Palestine in its present form, the geographical form, they envisage it, is like East and West Pakistan. Two blocks surrounded by a hostile landmass in between. Is it feasible? Now, even though the Arab states said, yes, we will take over the authority, one of the reconstruction plans is the reconstruction of with a body of Israel, the Palestinian Authority, Egypt, Saudi, UAE, USA, and the UN. As soon as announced, I think maybe in the same interview, the UAE just turned back and they said, no, we don't want to be party in this. Because once you get into it, you are involved in that same schmozzle and that same confusion. And it's a never-ending cycle, which most people have seen. And that's why the Arab states backed out of the Palestinian cause after 67. One by one, they started backing out of it.
Because Palestinians went there and tried taking over their countries.
Yes.
They did that in Jordan, Lebanon, Egypt. I mean, everywhere they've gone. Who did the attack on the Grand Mosque in Saudi Arabia?
Yeah.
So see, that's the thing. Nobody wants them because they're a mess maker. As a community, I don't know what's wrong with them. They seem to have their nuts screwed in the wrong side, I think. Sir, which is where I want to bring in, Egypt. Egypt is very interesting. Egypt is very, very interesting. That it is, it blocks off these Gazans, right? It does not let even one chap come inside. The other day, one chap climbed over the fence and jumped down. They shot him. There's a video of it, by the way. They shot him dead, not in the leg and this and that. They shot him dead. So and on top of it, they are now backing South Africa for that stupid ICJ
genocide
thing, right?
Correct.
So this is interesting. I mean, to me, I don't know. Somewhere down the line, I look at all this stuff as politics. I have not really been able to put this down as a permanent affair between any of these countries. I look at it as pure politics, and nothing more than that. What do you think, sir?
See, one of the things is when the Gazans, who are now 2.3 million who are crammed in Gaza, if the fence which Israel has established around it, it also circumvents the Egyptian border in the south, in Rafah, right? If the Gazans and the Palestinian people there expand, which they will want to at a time, because they're already exploding in that area, the area they'll move into is the area of the Sinai Desert, which is part of Egypt, which is what Egypt does not want at all. because then they'll expand all the way up to the Suez. It'll be a mass migration. It'll go completely out of hand the way the Palestinians entry into Jordan did. At the same time, now remember they have backed South Africa in the case of genocide against Israel. At the same time, now they're giving strong warnings. If you take a look at it, they have
Yeah,
told
they've been saying
Israel,
that. Yeah, they've been
no,
saying
if
that
you
for a long
continue
time
with
now.
these actions, we will have to review our peace accord.
They've been
It is
saying
the
that for about
strongest,
3 months.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. It's the strongest statement they made so far. Yeah, but these are indicators that perhaps, like I said, the undercurrent of, like I said, I myself feel that the action of the Israelis, I do not condone terrorism, but yeah, the manner of dealing with it, instead of just retaliation, perhaps had they had a slightly more balanced approach, it would have paid better dividends. More and
Yeah,
more
I mean,
people.
a lot of emotion went into the play. I think a lot of all that went into play. So, but we also see uh, the region kind of resetting itself. We can see that happening right in front of our eyes. Um, but there is a chap who kind of likes to throw a stick in the spoke of the tire, uh, which is Turkey.
Yes.
And there is a report that came out. I don't know if I shared it with you or not, but this report said Turkey was planning to host Hamas in its borders, the disputed borders with Syria and all that, and carry out attacks within the region.
Okay.
This is
From
what Turkey was trying to do.
right.
Give it shelter there so that Hamas can do whatever it wants to from there. Now, this is a very dangerous thing, knowing very well that this guy, what's his name, Erdogan is a card-carrying member of the Brotherhood, the Muslim Brotherhood, which is what
Right.
the whole modern jihad movement is all about. What is happening here, sir? I don't know. I've never trusted Turkey one bit. Nobody else does. What do you think?
See, Turkey, yeah, they like to put their fingers in all pies. They are a member of NATO. They still support Russia. They will support the USA at the same time. They will support Saudi and Iran. They play their cards whatever suits them best. But they are also anti-Israel, and they have been that right from the beginning, especially since Erdogan has come about. Erdogan is a staunch anti-Israeli, and they are the only Islamic nation which has taken a concrete measure against Israel actions, in which they cancelled all their trade deals with Israel. Now, when they talk about hosting Hamas on their soil, I don't think they will do it. No nation will do it. They will be inviting too much trouble for themselves, not just from Israel, but from Hamas, the Hamas factions themselves. But they will follow up by giving them more moral support, even aid. They may give humanitarian aid, but nothing else. This may be for public consumption to keep their own public happy that we are supporting our brethren in a way. But I don't think they'll go beyond that.
That Turkey is a
Remember,
rascal, sir.
if you
He
do,
cancels all the trade deals and he's still selling oil to Israel.
that will continue. You see, the public face in politics is important.
Such a swine he is. Nah, I
Netanyahu
can't tell
in
you,
the
sir.
same is important. Yes.
When I say Turkey, right, I only have very weird Pakistani type feelings inside me. The same way I feel about Pakistan, Turkey is the same. Although Turkey has not done that much damage to us, but I still have that. I still have that thing which is there because the brotherhood is brotherhood. At the end of it, that's something that one has to acknowledge. The brotherhood is terrible, which is quite bad. Uh, lastly, I want to ask you before we get into some questions, and guys, please, put in your questions. Please put #ask so that I can see them in the many comments that are there. I want to ask one major thing is that the Israeli question going forward, the Arabs are not going to appreciate any sort of question coming on the existence of Israel. Now that is kind of set up. With this war, I think one thing that the Israelis have also achieved is, listen, these pipe dreams of throwing us into the ocean and all that, not going to work. Okay, we will hit, and we will hit hard. We don't care how many of you we have to kill. We will do it, and we will do it without breaking a sweat. Now, see, if the Palestinians have brought something to the table, I think the Israelis have also brought this thing to the table that, listen, bossy, don't. We had to remind you twice before. You guys have lost a lot of land. Fair enough. Your generations have changed, but we still know how to fight. And that's a big statement as well for the Israelis.
Yeah. But now view it in context. This statement of never, you see, the Israeli doctrine, and incidentally, in just this week itself, there were the same day, 15th of May, marked two important events. One was the creation of Israel. The other was Nakba, the great catastrophe which the Palestinians celebrate. When Israel was created and they fought a year-long war of independence, the rallying cry of Israel was never again. It said that we have got a homeland after so many centuries of struggle, never again will be evicted from it. When they came under more pressure, Moshe Dayan, their legendary Israeli chief, came up with a doctrine of retaliation, of massive retaliation. And he said, we are small, our enemies are so many, they can hit us and they will hit us. We can't stop an attack onto us. We must hit them so bad that each retaliation is a message to the other enemies. Don't do it, we'll do the same to you again. That is why they demolished 7 Arab armies in 67. I mean, I won't go into the details of that. They virtually demolished Lebanon.
Brilliant.
They demolished the PLO. Yeah, they demolished the West Bank. But when was this? 50 years ago? The times have changed now. You cannot have a repeat of the same action. That doctrine should change. Had it, when the security was assured, they were getting the security, they were getting accepted in the Arab world. They should have changed the doctrine. Unfortunately, Netanyahu's right-wing policies of following the hardline doctrines at a time when the world has moved away from it is now going to be counterproductive for Israel. So there's never again retaliation. In this case, no. It'll bounce back to bite it harder than they imagine.
But it has the US to cover it, no, sir? Biggest trump card ever.
Even the US. So the US has saved them so far. The US has saved them in preventing a wider war. It is US. Why do you think Hezbollah, Iran, Houthis have all just quietened? Because of the US pressure on Iran. Plain and simple. Those 2 aircraft carriers out there are making strong messaging saying, buddy, you do it, we hit you back on their behalf. And the US missiles are actually firing against the drones, against Houthis.
Yeah.
Weapons. It is a message saying you stay. The US is also building subtle pressure on UAE, Saudi, the Arab nation, saying, tied along with it for a while, at the end of it all, we will give you sweetener, maybe in the form of a security guarantee or a security deal or arms deal or whatever it is. That is the reason the other nations are not going so much against it. But even the US will reach a point where it may not be politically expedient to continue unstinted support of Israel. And
I don't know, sir, because you look at the protests. You look at the protests. They've completely got exposed. The entire anti-Israel lobby, which is there, has got completely exposed in the US. Entire thing just broke apart because people like just took out where the money was coming from, and everybody said, "Aha, nope, we don't buy this."
Yeah. But listen, the awareness is coming about what Israel is doing. Look at it. Israel has lost the war of perception. They've lost the narrative. Their actions, even to an outsider or a layman, is too heavy-handed to be easily condoned on the ground of security.
वो तो है, But was there any other way, sir? Was there any other way to do this? Because you can keep saying, भाई वो उसको जरा पकड़ के मारो, ये करो, वो करो, but it's
You know,
you know
how long has this war gone? 7 months.
6-7
7
महीना हो
months.
गया.
7 months of pounding. It'll go on for another 2 months. I would say 2 to 3 months maybe before some kind of a ceasefire, some
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
place.
yeah.
In this time, had they resorted to more efficient surgical strikes, eliminating the Hamas leadership, eliminating them one by one in their
How do you
homes,
eliminate the guy, sir, who's 50 floors below the ground?
by sending raids, by
50
having
floors
large,
below the ground?
yes, why not?
This guy's tunnel is supposed to be 50
I'll
floors.
give an example. A raid into Gaza City, going to not using a heavy armor and artillery and all that, having para commandos and infantry troops going out there, precision intelligence-based raids, hitting the mouths of the tunnels, demolishing them, coming back, picking up maybe 1 or 2 hostages, coming back. The results would be little bit lesser than what they've got now. They claim to have killed 12,000 Hamas fighters. They might have killed 6 to 8 in this technique, but they would have won the war of perception. They would have won the narrative.
No. These
Eventually-
lefties will I mean, I'm sorry I'm being argumentative, but these damn lefties would have taken out some story there also and this thing. You look at us, sir. You look at us. It's the Yahud and Hanoud ki ladai. At the end of it, it is that. I call it the Sino-Wahhabi leftist alliance. And the only thing that they learn from the Wahhabis is Yahud and Hanoud are both bad. No matter what we do. So, I guess the Israelis would have, if I was the Israeli, I would have said, yaar, वैसे भी गाली खानी है, ठोको भैंस की आंख, break the damn bloody place. Fair enough, I can look at it through that perspective. Politically, it may be correct or not, different discussion. But, picture yourself as well, sir, jitna ye humko gaaliyan nikalte hain, and it's all there. By the way, today is the Guardian has taken out an article, right? And you look at the way they portray Hinduism and this and that and that. It's not funny. It's like we are all Danavs running around trying to just lynch people around the place. I don't know. I mean, to fight this ecosystem, either whatever you do, you're bad. So, theek hai, do the bad, at least.
So how do you deal with this kind of illogical statements? You ignore it.
I don't know, sir. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. It's to me, it's beyond me. Ki yaar,
No, you ignore it and continue doing just what you want to do and what you have to do. That's the best.
Yeah, that's what it is. So you do what you have to do, and I mean that's just about it. Exactly. It's a tough call, sir. It's a damn tough call because apart from that, if you don't take hard action, what will happen? You lose your seat. Yeah. So
When you lose your seat, you lose your country.
You lose your country, you lose your seat, and all this stuff is it's crazy. So guys, let's get into some of your questions. Yeah, it's an interesting conversation. I think this debate is actually on for a long time, and it will, I think, go on for a while before this thing dies down. But one of the things that we must understand, somewhere something has to break. Then only this cycle of violence will stop. And it's the same in our context also. You look at what's happening in West Bengal, and with the whole radicalization that is taking place in certain parts of the country is the same thing. I mean, there are people who say that we've got small little Gazas everywhere around the place. So we might have to fight these battles somewhere. And that's one of the reasons why I'm so interested. You've got a big, huge Gaza next to you, which is Pakistan. You guys know I say it Pakistan. Pakistan plus Palestine is equal to Pakistan. It's the same mentality. It's the same this thing. They throw terrorists at us even today when they don't have food to eat themselves. They're throwing terrorists at us. So it's crazy. And wonder what is the solution, because we've not been able to sort out the Pakistani problem. The Israelis have not been able to sort out the Palestinian problem. The Chinese are suffering from it. So it's an open discussion, and anybody who has a solution, please write a paper and send it to us. We'd like to debate it, because I have not been able to find a solution
No,
for this thought
Adi,
process.
no, let me interject.
So
You're
please.
right. We have got a hostile neighbor next to us, Pakistan, who has been creating trouble for us all these years. Just like the Palestinians have been doing. It's a totally
Yeah,
different ball game because of
that's
the way
correct.
we handled it. Okay. Now the Israeli, I keep on using the term heavy-handedness of the approach toward the Palestinians. Compare it with our concept of winning hearts and minds in Kashmir. We have won the narrative there.
Yeah, there's
The
no
Israelis have.
question.
Now I have dealt with so many Israeli officers who have come down. They've seen the ground situation, and they say we have a lot to learn from you. Pakistan had created trouble for us, didn't they? They did the Bombay attacks. God knows what all they have done. We've handled. I mean, I'm not saying I'm an advocate of the restraint. No, even now, if my blood boils, I feel we could have hit harder. But at the end of the day, look where we stand. We are on the cusp of superpower. We are a regional power. We are an economic power. Look at Pakistan has become a basket case. So do you feel maturity paid dividends, or did heavy-handedness pay dividends? I think our viewers may like to ask this question.
Yeah, this is something that we should debate, because one of the things that okay, let me just take 2 minutes before we start the question, sir. I have a little bit of a thought process which I've been thinking about for a long time. One of the things is that you have the Russian way of dealing with this problem, which took them 500 years, and a complete destruction of Grozny. They did what the Israelis are doing to Gaza. I mean, Putin went in. Remember the second war of Chechnya was terrible. You got the Chinese method, which I don't think anyone else wants to do, to beat radicalization, which is terrible. It's inhuman. It's I don't even want to talk about it. Then you've got the Indian method, which is the Indian Army, your organization, which came up
Ideological
with this
war.
thing.
Winning the ideological war. Yes.
Yeah, it said that an iron hand with a velvet glove,
Yes.
right? So these were, and we didn't know it will work till very recently, actually. I would say till 2 years ago, we were all a little like, okay, I hope Kashmir sorts out. Today, we are kind of confident that the Kashmir is kind of sorted out, but we have other problems around the place. Leaving that apart, but there is a SOP that we've come up with to say, ki, bhai, this is how you can handle it. Would you agree with my analogy, sir?
Yeah, exactly. Because the method that's worked best has been the Indian method, in which we have won the ideological war after having won the military war, and having done it with minimal collateral damage. That's the greatness of what the Indian Army has done. They eliminated terrorism in the valley. We have so many officers and men have died to
Yeah.
save needless
Crazy.
casualties. To save needless casualties. That was, I mean, I'm an army man. Our blood used to boil losing our comrades. But now, 20 years later, when I'm older and mature, one realizes the effectiveness of the method, because that's brought you lasting peace. And what the Israelis did, the heavy-handedness which they use, has got them lasting insecurity and no ends in sight. For us, we are seeing an end in sight, which is a very nice amalgamation of you go down to Kashmir, you see how the people talk. They have amalgamated themselves ideologically with the rest of the country, which was missing.
There is a change. There is a change, sir. But the point is, I mean, if you have a country like Pakistan, soft touch will not work. Here, it has to be. I mean, the only reason Pakistanis don't do anything right now is because they're scared another Balakot will happen. So bhai bin.
no, so the fallacy of Pakistan's policy has been exposed. They have look at they're a
Correct.
basket case. They are a basket case by following these policies, and we are a superpower by following ours. I mean, जो जीता वही सिकंदर, as they say.
या वो तो कोई बात ही नहीं है सर. तो बट पाकिस्तान हेवी हैंड ना दिस मारो सालों को. आई थिंक दैट इज समथिंग which all of us will universally agree कि यार पाकिस्तान को तो जोर से कोई टेंशन नहीं है, भिगा के मारो.
If they cross a line, they should be told their place.
या भिगा के अच्छे से प्यार से, जैसे मोदी साहब बोलते हैं ना, घर में घुस के मारेंगे. That's what needs to be done with Pakistan. That's just about it, I think. So guys, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I know Swati Maliwal is more hot and happening today, but these are discussions that have long-term ramifications. That Swati Maliwal, because I think 2 weeks from now we won't even remember who Swati Maliwal was. So people are really interested in that aspect. So am I, by the way. There's no question about it, but I still want to know what's happening with Israel. Share these with your friends and family, most importantly. And of course, yes, if you can, please do contribute towards this channel using the QR code above, or you can use the PayPal, which is there in your description, or you can become members or send in super stickers or super chats. Let's see what you guys have to say. 1 second. Yeah, here we are. Shwetadri, thank you so much. Is it true that Spain has denied a ship carrying 27 tons of high quality explosives from India to Israel? Yes, it is. Any comments, sir?
No, I'm afraid I'm not aware of this, so I would not like to comment on that. But we are not sending high explosive to Israel. And if we are to send it to Israel, why send it via Spain? The route doesn't go to Spain in any case.
No, I believe it was a ship which was docked somewhere or something like that. The story is not fully out, but this thing has come out that there's one ship which has been held up, and there is also reviews coming out. Ki boss, it'll be released. There's a lot of pressure which is being put by US and everybody, so it'll kind of get away from it. So, but Spain has that thing, na? So they've gone ahead and they've got that anti-Israel policy which they've come up with. All right, what happens to China and its influence in the Arab world?
Very interesting. Very, very, very interesting. China is the hidden player, and a lot of their policies are to retain influence in the Arab world, because remember, they need the Arab world more. They are not the Arab world, they need the Middle East more than the US did. The US lost interest in the Middle East after they found so much oil. They didn't require the oil of the Middle East. China needs it. All of them has been a struggle to maintain influence in that region. China is now wooing Iran. They have signed a 25-year-old strategic and economic partnership in which Iran will send them oil and natural gas, and China will provide investments and finances to them. So yes, China does want to maintain. And one more important thing, they did bring about a rapprochement between Iran and Saudi Arabia last year, got them together, which was seen as a diplomatic coup. But now this war has, I would say, kind of put it back into the back burner again. China will try to retain influence with all the major powers, Israel, China, Saudi, and Iran. But at the moment, the way things stand, it is more Iran which will be leaning towards it. The rest of them will be moving away from it.
So the audience says that there's a German ship as well as an Indian ship which has been stopped. It was there for a port call, probably fueling or something like that, and it has been stopped. And as per my intimation, some people that I spoke to just spoke to us in message before the show. They said nikal jayega, koi tension nahi hai. It's just a silly thing that they've done. Okay, Lajvanti ji asks, college protests are also funded by Soros. Does he have any skin in the game in the Middle East? He's a Jew hater. That's it. That's his skin. Anything that you'd like to add, sir?
See, a lot of these the protests which go on across the world, it's easy to, let's say, bhadkav a young mind. And you require the right spark to do so. Many of them are ideologically motivated, but the spark is often provided from outside. I'm sure these agencies would have played a role in these protests as well.
Yeah, Shwetadri ji, thank you so much. Your views on today's IMEC meeting between India and UAE. Exactly what sir and I are talking about. The future is getting planned, ladies and gentlemen.
See, this is very encouraging.
Mm.
Firstly, because it means everyone is looking at an end state of a stable Middle East, which is what everybody wants. UAE, Saudi, Israel, India, Iran, all the powers want a stable Middle East so that trade, commerce, and economic growth can continue.
Mm.
Now, the India, Middle East, Europe corridor, it will be a massive game changer. But in the geopolitics of the region, one party which is so important to us in terms of geographical connectivity is being sidelined, which is Iran. The Chabahar port would form a very, very vital link in the India Middle East corridor.
Mm.
At the moment, Chabahar is largely being seen as the north-south corridor, connecting India, Chabahar, north through the Central Asian republics towards Russia. But by extending it westwards, we would be heading towards Saudi Arabia, cutting a lot of distance and time. And if somehow we can merge Chabahar with the corridor, it would be a huge, huge savings and a game changer for us.
Guys, remember the episode I had done with Oman, India's game with Oman? And that's something which sir is referring to. Okay, they proposed that if you're getting a pipeline from there, create something in Oman, station or something like that, where we can also plug in our pipeline and you get all the fuel from us also. That's what the Iranians are saying. So this is going to be a big game for us. Nano-san, thank you so much for this very interesting question and very, very important discussion. Actually, I didn't take this up as a question because I saw this thing coming out of the 70 odd tunnels found in Rafah. 50 have been found going into Egypt. Now that's the beauty of it. So the Egyptian army seems to be in bed with Hamas for quite a while now. Won't be surprised.
You know, these tunnels, it's an open secret. Where do the tunnels go into Gaza? There's only one way they can go in from. They can't go in from the sea. They can't go in from the Israeli side. They have to go in from the Egyptian side. They are smuggling tunnels, largely smuggling, and they have been used for years, since 2007, when the blockade was established, so that foodstuffs, cement, fuel, money, currency, movement of people could continue. So, yes, there has to be a collusion with I won't say the government, but the border guards and the Gazan government and the Gazan governance rather, in which this movement to and fro the tunnels was permitted to continue. There's nothing new about that whatsoever.
I mean, I find the Egyptians to be the smartest of the lot. Honestly, they've played a very safe game, kept these guys away from them, and have no recommendation coming from anywhere in the world. Yaar, tum to border kholo. Na? Nothing. Nobody said that to them. Rajesh Agrawalji says, Aadi, Arab League have double standard, will criticize Hamas, but will stand with Palestine. But they won't take a single Palestine. They talk about two-state solution, but won't talk a security solution. Exactly. That's the problem. That is the issue with these guys.
Exactly. He answered the question. That's very, very, very true.
There's just no doubt. I mean, that's the hypocrisy of the situation. That's why I keep saying, yeah, you can blame Israel all you want to, but then go take up the responsibility. No, we don't want to do it. Achha? This is interesting. Bare feet, thank you so much for your contribution. He says, news Are Turkey's going to have Hamas stations in Turkey? How is Turkey still a NATO member? See, I told you, sir.
Yeah, but we had discussed that earlier. Like I said,
Yeah.
I do
It's quite
not think a Hamas presence. It would be something like it was like how the Taliban had a presence in Qatar and the headquarters in Qatar for a long time before they came back into power. They could have maybe an office, nothing more than that.
Yeah. One second. Rishi says, will ex-Muslim movement have any impact on geopolitics in the near future? Mm-hmm.
What do they mean by ex-Muslim?
Okay, I think you're not. Sir, there's a huge movement within this region where people are renouncing their religion, which is Islam. So they are known as the ex-Muslims. In India, the numbers are somewhere around quite huge, actually. Some people call it about 30 lakhs, some people say 50 lakhs, some people say close to a crore people. A lot of ex-Muslim movement in Iran, a lot of ex-Muslim movement in Saudi Arabia as well. So there is, I feel that it will impact once it becomes a certain amount of numbers. At the moment, the numbers are a little, far and few between, and plus the whole of the street is still there with the hard, you know what I'm saying. So yeah, that's what I feel. But good observation, Rishi. Aswati ji says, do you think Arab countries also feel that keeping Palestine issue on gives them some advantages against the US?
Brilliant observation. Brilliant observation. All right. Yes. The Palestinian issue, keeping it alive, adds to the relevance. You're right in that. Now, resolving this Palestinian issue now will give more relevance to them. That is the game which Saudi Arabia, UAE, and other nations, and Egypt also are playing. Because they feel that if they help resolve the Palestinian issue by giving them the two-state solution, it'll increase their own standing in the Middle East. Also, there is one more thing you must remember. If a Palestine is created in the West Bank and Gaza, it will reduce Israel's influence. Israel is the strongest military power in the region. It carries the heft much greater than its geographical size. Deep down, I'm sure all nations would like to see Israel maybe slightly less powerful than what it is. And that goes for both Egypt, Saudi, and other Arab nations. Iran, though, would love it, of course.
And the last one we'll take for today is Vijay Saab says, how can we assure peace with the ideology which is still taught to a 5-year-old kid? How can we erase that? That's the problem.
Which we had covered earlier, Aadi, like I said, the Indian approach. You have to win the war of ideology. You have to convince them that your ideology is the correct one. Which is
but
what
have we
India
still
has
won,
been
sir? The
successful
question
at.
is,
It took more time.
have we won as of now? That's the big point. I mean, we are peaceful in Kashmir.
I'm
There's no
talking
question.
about-
But would you declare a victory in
I
Kashmir?
would say, no, we should never declare victory in any battle. Every battle
That's
is an ongoing battle which is never complete. But I would say we have now, the ideology is tilting towards the Indian way of thinking. Let me put it this way. And in that, the narrative is, the Indian narrative has won. That's how I'll phrase it.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, sir. I think you're traveling and still taking out some time for us. Thank you so much for doing that. Always a pleasure discussing stuff with you and
To miss your
discussing
shows for anything.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. And we shall see you the next time with another interesting twist to the game. Thank you, sir.
Look forward to
Jai
it.
Hind.
The Rafah offensive would have reached a point, and I'm looking forward to it. Thank you very much for including me in your show, and a special thanks to all your viewers. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. Jai Hind.